Okay, so this is the gearbox for the Challenger Mark 13. So we have a solenoid here. At first I thought it's a magnet sensor because there's a magnet for the mag, but after comparing the position, I think the magnet and most of the sensors and the boards are located right in front. So I don't think so. Let me see if I can show much. Can't see much of it, but yeah, the motor driver, the main board, the magnet sensor for the mag is all up front, so it's none of them is inside the gearbox, so we can safely say this is a solenoid. And what's the purpose? I'm pretty sure is can find some tips over here where this one should be responsible for the so-called boot lock. I got a feeling that this since the solenoid is positioned right here at the front, so the other side, it should be something responsible for this, but then we need something to explain. This is what that what do you call, release the catch. So the catch is over here. So what happens is this plunger rod have a built-in this kind of catch rod. The whole thing is a single piece item. It's not single piece, but they are installed in the like this. Then what happens is this thing will go into the holes here. Sorry, I'm holding it. So you insert the whole thing here. As the plunger is pushing it back, you will engage the rod will engage with the catch here, and this is what that will lock once it go into position. And once it hit, this thing is movable, so you lock it in. So something will push this, which then push this, and of course the whole plunger will go in front through the tube. So the moving part is actually the tube. The tube will engage the rod, go back to the front. Once you lock the bolt, then this thing triggers, the rod goes in, and that's where you get the performance. So it's not a very big plunger tube. It's a nylon plunger tube. It's not a metal plunger tube. So it's not a big tube because it's about 32 mm in diameter. And after factor in the draw length, and once you install this thing here, you factor in that you cannot fully compress. When just now there's a spring in between here once installed, right here, sorry. Just now it's a bit something like that. So once I put it here, I would say the tube, the rod sits around here, about here. Sorry, it's about here. Once I put it here, let me see. It's about here. So it's not a full tube, so what you got is about 70% of the tube. So the draw length is not impressive, so there's not much air volume. You can play with that. And this should explain why the FPS isn't that impressive. We are talking about a blaster that do about shy of 200 FPS with the small tube with a tough spring like this. So the spring itself, it's a 24 mm outer diameter spring, similar to a long shot Firefly spring. Recently we made a lot of Firefly springs, so it happens that we have an exact spring for it. This is a testing spring for Firefly. It's supposed to be 1.6, should be a 5 kilo Firefly spring, a longer version of it. So we made this to test out a Firefly, and it happens to be the same spec as this one, just that this is actually a 2.0 spring. So the Pro version came with a 2.0 spring instead of a 1. Any bigger spring. So a 2.0 with a 24 mm setup should comes to about this should be a 12 kilo spring, similar to a Firefly 12 kilo spring, just slightly longer. So it's not a soft or big spring. So upgrading this will put a lot more stress on the motor for sure, and it's not a big motor. So I have I think this is a sample of the Titan motor, but anyway, this is a 480 motor. You can see how big is it, and when I put side by side, it's actually quite small. So I would say this should be a 370 motor. but can't be sure, but it should be a 370 can motor. So it's actually a very small motor. I don't understand why they would go with such a small motor, but it's a very strong motor. It's probably a new magnet motor, because you can see things stick to it, and it's very hard to remove them. So it should be a new niobium magnet motor. So nothing much you can upgrade or do about this motor. You can see the gears. There's 4 gears in total, include the pinion. There will be 5. This is the anti-reversal latch. So the first gear is right over here. I can't put the gearbox, split it nicely, because there are wires over there, so I can just split it, left to right. And there's 3 more gears here, where I can spin this gear, and you can see right over here, this is where you will engage the rod and pull it back. So the angle of engagement, I think it's okay, I guess, but I'm not expert in that. So there's actually a return rod here, not return rod. Yeah, I think it's a return spring to push the plunger tube up front. So I have it removed already, but it's supposed to be installed here. So what I'm supposed to do, oh shit, I had to pull it finish. So what I'm supposed to do is supposed to sit right here to push the plunger tube back, right? So I have that removed because we are doing some tests on this. And that's pretty much. I think the gearbox isn't too complex. A bit disappointed with the tube. They said that this is a nylon tube, so if in the future you want to upgrade a stronger spring, they will recommend to change this to metal. But I think the air volume itself is not that much to begin with, so it's already, like I said, 12 kilo spring, and it's a okay motor, but it's not the strongest that they could have gone for. And with a small tube like this, it's very hard to imagine pushing it close to anywhere about, I think even 250 will be a problem, unless you really go with a very hard and stiff spring, right? So yeah, that's about it.